Hello and welcome. In this video I'm going to show you my brow tutorial or brow what's the word? Brow routine, yes, and my cat is again here. This was a request of one of you subscribers, and I also have had this request on Instagram as well, so I decided to do it today. So if you're interested to see how I do my brows, just keep on watching. Alright, I have already done my makeup base, so I have my foundation on, and today I used e.l.f. stick foundation. I actually haven't used this in a long time, so I wanted to test how it looks, and as I remembered, it does look quite dry on me, so let's ignore that. I have a little bit of blush and a little bit of this Too Faced highlighter on, and just a little bit of powder. My favorite brow product of all time is from H&M. This is their Superfine browliner. There is spoolie on the other end, and then there is very thin, which is very thin, like I think this is similar to the Anastasia brow wiz, but I don't know which one, the smaller one, very tiny. The shade I'm using today is espresso brown, which is very dark and cool toned shade. On everyday life I usually use shade dark walnut, which is a bit softer, still quite dark, but not warm toned still. I prefer to have cool toned brows. I'll do this side with this H&M browliner, and this side I will do my cup brown from the Benefit. This is just the travel size of this, but the shade is number 3. I think the basic idea how I do my brows are very similar with both of these products, but you'll see how I go forward. These are my brows now, as you can see, without anything. I always make sure that I apply my foundation also on top of my brows, just to make sure that there is some kind of product to make this brow product to stick more and look more opaque. That's something I like to do. As you can see, I have quite thick brows here at first, and then there is a little gap on both sides, and on this side it's more visible, this gap. And then the shape is quite good in both of my brows, so I don't have to change the shape, and I don't need to also add that much volume. I just want to make those more even. So I'm lucky in that sense, so that I don't have to kind of draw my brows. But I always start, first thing is that my hands usually tremble a little bit, so I always lean on to my cheek, at least with my little finger here, just to make my hands more stable. What I always do is that I have a mirror here, so that's why I'm looking here. I always start from the lower line here. This is the line I want to be the most sharpest, but I'm not the girl of those Instagram brows, so I never draw that kind of sharp lines, but I just want to enhance the natural shape of my brows like this. And then usually at this point, when I've just drawn few lines, I start to do the same here on top. The reason why I love these H&M pencils are that they are quite hard, so I don't have to be so careful when I'm drawing my brows. I like that I can take small kind of brushes and I don't have to worry about getting too much products. When I have formed the upper line, I just start filling the gaps. I usually avoid this part where I already have quite good amount of brows, the hairs, so I just continue filling out those gaps. And I still haven't touched much of this inner corner. I'll do that the last part. And when I have filled up the sparse areas, I continue here, and I usually like to take my brows a bit further than actually there is any hair. So these classical measures like this, I usually take it here. It's just something I think suits me, so that's why I do it. And I always start from the lower part of that line, as I did at the beginning, and then I continue to work it upwards. And I don't mind that the line is not perfectly even, because I want that natural kind of eyebrow look. So as there is some hair that are going a bit there and there, I just, with this spoolie at the end, I just comb them to be reasonably even, and that's it. So maybe a little bit more like this. And then I just, when I see what's the opaque level is this day with my brows, I add a little bit of color here at the beginning, but not that much. And I then take my spoolie on the other end of this pencil and I brush most of the color off from the beginning, so I want it to look pretty natural. And then I might just, if there is any patches that I see that it's more dark than the other areas, I just take the spoolie and kind of brush the color away. But this way I take all the harsh spots away and I want to make it more even. So this is pretty much how I do my brows. Nothing high maintenance. I want it to be quick and easy, so nothing too difficult. I rarely, if ever, curl my brows with concealer. What I rather do is just use a highlighter or matte white eyeshadow or something, just to highlight that way that part of my brows, but that's all I do. But now to the other side, so I'm using the Benefit Brow. I just purchased this in December and I have used it a few times. This is a travel size and there is this tiny brow brush with it, and surprisingly I like to use this product with this brush. I have tried to use this with my normal sized brow brush, but for some reason I like to use this one, so that's the one I'm using today as well. This is quite funny actually, but it's how it is. And I start basically the same way, so from the lowest part. And this side, as you can see, my brows kind of start more on this side, as in here they are closer to my nose. So I need to add a little bit more of volume and color to this side. Again, I'm not so worried about having symmetrical brows and symmetrical face, because I don't have symmetrical face, and for example my nose is kind of turned this way, so I lost the game in that one already, so I don't need to have perfect symmetrical brows. But I just want to take those brows a bit more close to my nose. I think this is about good. And then I continue. I haven't added any product to this brow now, so I continue to work with the same amount. So I try to make as natural brows as possible, so that means as little product as possible. I think the shade is great for me. It's a bit more warm than the espresso brown I have on this brow, but this shade is quite close to the one I have on the other shade of the H&M pencil, the warm almond. So then I just take the same spoolie from the H&M pen and I just brush this. And again I take a little bit of that coverage away from the inner corner just to make it a bit more natural. Something I rarely do, only if I for some reason remember, is then use our eyebrow gel. I think the reason is that my brows are quite well behaving, so during the day I don't see any problems them going up or down or anywhere else. I do actually trim my eyebrows on this section a little bit because they tend to grow quite long, so I do trim them a little bit. So after I do that, I don't have any problems with my eyebrows staying on place. But if I do set my eyebrows, I do have two favorite products. The first one is from Essence. It's the Make Me Brow. This is very affordable. There's a little bit of color and the shade is Blondie Brows. It's just good basic brow gel. I really cannot say if it holds my brows or not because I don't have that problem that my brows are everywhere. So sorry for about that. The other product I like is this from Eden Minerals. It has a little bit of this kind of, what do you say, those fibers in it. So they do give a little bit of volume as well. And that's something I like to use on these outer parts sometimes if I want to. There's something like about the color, like this shade in both of these products are basically too light for me, but I like it that way because when I brush my eyebrows with these products, I kind of feel like they make my eyebrows look just a tiny bit more natural because of they give that kind of lighter shade. So I feel like my brows look like I've been outside and had a little bit of sun and the sun has lightened up the edges of my brows, so that's just something I like to do. But both of these products are something I like to use if I just happen to remember, which definitely doesn't happen often. So, as you saw, my brow routine is not anything that exciting or difficult to do. Of course, I'm blessed with quite easy brows, so I only need to give a little bit of shade and more color, and that's it. But if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up so I will know that too. And now I wish you have a great day. See you next time. Bye bye.